Hello, I'm just popping in to wish you a happy Friday evening, and I wanted to just speak with you about 5 things that most people don't know about anxiety. And anxiety can show up in so many different ways, but I wanted to touch base with the things that most people don't know about anxiety. And the first one is that it truly can be incredibly crippling. How do I know this? I've experienced anxiety myself. I know in hindsight that I experienced anxiety throughout my whole childhood and into early adulthood. And in my 30s, I experienced incredible anxiety. I used to experience panic attacks, anxiety attacks, which really were crippling. They literally physically crippled me, and I understand what it's like to have anxiety. So that I feel is something that a lot of people don't recognize, that anxiety truly can be crippling for people and stops them from doing a lot of things. And it can be crippling within their mind, it can be crippling within their body. So the second thing that most people don't know about anxiety is, especially if you've never experienced this, is it can be absolutely terrifying. Absolutely gripping. And I remember when I had those anxiety attacks I just spoke about, the anxiety that I felt, it literally felt I was gripped in a vice or grabbed by someone, and I was unable to move, and my mind was absolutely racing, and it was absolutely terrifying. So when you understand that when you're with someone who is having a panic attack or they're feeling anxious, understanding that as much as they may look okay on the outside, quite often what's going on internally can be completely different as to how they're showing up outside. Another way, so number 3 is anxiety can quite often go unrecognized. And what I mean by that is anxiety can show up in so many different forms, and it can show up as anger. It can show up as fear. Anxiety can also show up with people when they're being completely irrational in thought and in action. It can show up in sadness. People can feel incredibly sad when they're feeling anxious, and they feel that heaviness and that weight and that overwhelm, and it can show up as sadness, and yet what is driving that can be the anxiety. Another way that it shows up is quietness. People can become very, very quiet and withdrawn. So on the inside, their mind may be racing. On the outside, it appears as though they're a very quiet person, and yet what's going on within them is anxiousness. Another way that it can go unrecognized is the loudest person in the room. Sometimes the person who is the loudest person in the room is experiencing extreme anxiety, and they have found a way to cover up their anxiety. That's how they feel they overcome their anxiety, by being loud, and they feel as though they're taking control of what's happening for them. Another way that it can go unrecognized, as in loneliness. So when people are feeling anxious, they actually start to feel lonely because they feel as though nobody understands them, and they get so caught up in their thoughts that they feel that there's nobody out there that could possibly understand how they're feeling, and then they get caught up in that flow of internalizing everything and creating that space around them, and sometimes pushing people away, and at other times feeling lonely, as if they are the only ones that knows what's going on, and no one can help them. So if there's anybody in your life that is like that, recognizing that you can reach out to them and ask if they're okay, and also if any of those ways of it showing up that appear to be unrecognized is you, then also reaching out to someone and asking them for some help. Number 4 is it can go as quickly as it comes. So yes, sometimes anxiety can creep up on people, so it can just creep in slowly, and then it becomes quite apparent that there's anxiousness there. In other times, it can come that quickly, and it can literally just feel as though it's grabbing or gripping someone. But I'll just give you a quick strategy that I used to use when I used to have panic attacks. And the funny thing is that when you're in the grip of a panic attack, you are you're by no means thinking clearly. So what happened for me was I discovered a tool that took me from feeling absolutely fearful and petrified, and in an absolute instant, the anxiety would disappear. And one of the great strategies that I did use when I needed to was I used to say within my own mind, or sometimes out loud, I'd say, bring it on. So whatever I was fearing, or whatever I sensed I was fearing, or even if I was unsure what I was fearing, I used to say to myself, or say to the universe, bring it on. And truly, every single time I did that, before I'd even got past bring, before I'd even got to the it on, the anxiety, the feeling disappeared instantly. It was incredible. So that was something that I learned to do for myself that helped me to overcome anxiety quite quickly. And yes, there were times when I was unaware and was unable to remember to say that, but the times that I did use that, it helped me enormously. So if you're feeling anxious, maybe that's a tool or a strategy that you can use, is to say to the universe, okay, whatever it is, bring it on. The number five topic, the thing that most people don't know about anxiety is, especially for people that have experienced a lot of anxiety or for a long time, it truly is possible to overcome it. And I'm speaking from experience. I've been in a place, in a space where it was so dark, the feelings were so heavy that I truly felt that it would never end. There was no light at the end of my tunnel that I could see or feel. And yet I did find a way to work through it. And it took a lot to get there. But in saying that, it was really worth it. And what happened for me along the journey, and my journey still continues, is that it was a lot of self-discovery. It was a lot of recognizing how experiences in my lifetime had been locked away. And so our emotions and experiences can be sitting in our energy field, in our aura, in our emotions, in our mind. And if they're locked away and they're left to just cause a little bit of trouble there, what happens is it can show up as anxiety. So I encourage you, if you're a person that does experience anxiety, or you know someone that experiences anxiety, it definitely is possible to move beyond those anxious feelings. It's possible to use tools and strategies to become more confident, to dissolve the anxiety. And once you face your fears, it does and can disappear very, very quickly. If you have any questions about anxiety, or if you'd love to share some stories about your anxiety, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. And if you would love some support to work through anxiety, or to discover some personalized tools for yourself, then please send me a message. I share one-on-one VIP mentoring to help people with their anxiety. And I also share weekly group sessions with mindfulness to help people to become aware of how they're feeling, how they're thinking, and to create positive thoughts and positive actions. So wishing you an incredibly beautiful weekend, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Bye for now.